Yay! All right, good. That was all the little chit chat I had. I can't multitask. That was 1400 by 900, which those monitors won't do. Hi, me. Yeah, this is 1024. Can we go back to that, see if it works? Louder? You really need me to talk louder. I've never actually heard that. Did anyone see the video? I made a little montage ad. There's some really good ads for Shmoocon this year on YouTube. Did anyone actually go see some of the ads? Yeah, woo! Did anyone see the one with that I hooked together all the little parts from last year's Shmoocon? And where Dan Kaminsky's up there and he's running around on stage and he's talking, and somebody comes from out of frame and whispers in his ear. He says, "Oh, apparently I'm loud enough for both rooms." So, and for anyone that's seen Dan talk, that's certainly the truth. So, anyway, welcome to Shmoocon. I'm Bruce Potter, for those that don't know me. I know we got a lot of first-time folks, so I'm going to go through some logistics and some odds and ends about the conference. I usually get up here and I rant, and I got a soapbox. It's my ginormous soapbox that I stand on, but I'm going to try to minimize that a bit today and only talk about things that are relevant to the con, if for no other reason that there's actually a lot of neat stuff about the con, and I haven't done anything in the last year that you'll find interesting anyway. So, first of all, I normally start most of my talks with a slide that say, "Don't believe anything I say." In this case, I'm not ranting about random stuff. I'm actually telling you how it is with the conference. So please, for at least the next few slides, believe what I'm going to tell you. You'll know when to stop believing me. I'll start to scream and potentially swear, and that's a good time to kind of tune it out. So, brief history of Shmoocon. So, how many people were at Shmoocon 1? Shmoocon 2? Shmoocon 4? Okay, there are a few people who have claimed to have been to Shmoocon all 4 years, which is a sign that we were really good, a couple of them. So, in 2005, we'd been talking, the Shmoo group had been talking for a while about throwing a conference, and Beetle, one of the members, just kind of jumped up and said, "Oh, the hell with this, I'm going to organize it, let's go." And he started organizing Shmoocon 1. And after a lot of pressure, like just a lot of work, man, I mean, it was a bear, we got it done. And the Shmoo group's about 35 or so people, and we have really about 20 to 25 active members, and then there's a whole bunch of friends that we knew, and what it boiled down to was we basically had a big old meeting and party with all our friends. 350 people, a few random strangers that actually got the word that we were having the conference, but it was really people we knew. Last year, we grew a lot. We went from 350 people to around 850, something like that. And it's kind of the friends of friends. We're several degrees of separation away. And now I consider you all complete strangers, and I hope to never see you again. So, 07, I'm using Keynote this year instead of PowerPoint, because I feel kind of bad. I've been using PowerPoint, waiting for Microsoft to port it to the Intel platform, and they still haven't done it yet, so I'm still running this PowerPC binary, and my box is all infested with malware, because it's a Mac, and all the Macs are insecure. And sorry. Simple points out that I wasn't going to rant, and I'm already taking pokes. Anyway, we've seen some interesting trends. The attendee uptick has been kind of linear. If we can actually keep my presentation on this side over here, because I'm referencing things on the, thank you. Who's got control of that? I do. Ted does? All right, thank you, Ted. We'll get to Ted in a minute. Ted's my hero. So we've had this linear growth, that's the yellow line in attendees. We had a pretty substantial uptick in talks submitted this year. So the first year we had a few more than we accepted, not many more. The next year we had a number more, but not a huge amount. This year we had over 100 talks submitted, all of them very high quality. It was fantastic. Thank you to those submitted that didn't make it. Thanks to those that did and are going to be speaking. It was a fantastic year for that. I think the troubling trend that I saw were the number of boxes that showed up in my house. The first year it was on the order of 40. The second year it was about 50. This year it was probably on the order of 120 to 130 boxes. A couple weeks ago we were waiting for these bags. You guys like your bags? Yeah, all right. So Heidi picks out the bags, and she says, well, they got to ship from California because that's the only place that has enough of them in stock in red to do this. And so a couple weeks later, we get the art to them, and they ship. And she's checking out the shipping information. She says, well, they're supposed to be here tomorrow, but it says there's only 3 boxes. Like, that's kind of weird, And then she looks closer and says, but it says it weighs 2,200 pounds. We thought about it. We said, we think those are pallets. indeed, a 50-foot tractor trailer showed up in my, my neighborhood, backed up, ran over half of my maple tree, and then the guy's sitting there, and he's like, "Do you have a loading dock?" And I'm like, "No," as a matter of fact. And he's on a hill, and the thing's all slanted, and he's trying to get the pallet jack and get it tipped over and put down and everything, and he nearly drops this huge thing of bags on my head. And I realized, you know what, they're not fragile. I'm just going to get out of the way and let this guy do his job because it's not worth it. Anyway, so those lived in my garage, which displaced my Jeep, which I felt kind of bad. I would go out every night and console my Jeep and tell him, it's okay. You get rained on sometimes. It gets dark, but nothing to worry about. So I very much like my cars, so I apologize. Any Jeepers? Yay. Wow, that's a large number. Got some rednecks in the house. Anyway. So these are the tenets that Shmoocon was initially started with, and we try to hold true to it every year. And every year as the challenge gets a little bit more different. Right, you can all read. So how are we different? First of all, the Shmoo balls are back again. This has been something we tried to hold true for every year. For those that aren't familiar with a Shmoo ball, we've gone to a lot of conferences. A number of us have been to conferences where you watch some idiot on stage like myself say just random crap. Things that just aren't true, or at least shouldn't be spouted as truth, right? Happens all the time. But you don't necessarily want to sit in a room full of 1,100 people and go, that's bullshit, I disagree. That takes a lot of guts to stand up, because the guy with the microphone overtly is the one supposed to be talking, and for you to stand up and be like, no, he's wrong, that's a bold move. So instead, we armed you with this kind of, urban warfare thing of this little ball. So if you disagree with what's going on stage, you can just throw the ball, okay? So the balls have been designed basically not to injure, not to cause too much damage. Every year there's this debate of what kind of Shmoo ball could we have next year? And then we have this conversation of, well, if I froze it, would it be different? If I soaked it in water and then froze it, would it damage things? And there's all kinds of ways. Here comes my son. Nope, doesn't want to throw one. My son almost came up to throw a ball at me and then decided that was a little too intimidating in front of everyone. The problem we've had with them is really no one wants to throw them because they treat them like souvenirs. Like, oh, at Shmoocon, I got my Shmoo ball. And no one actually wants to throw them. We have extra, okay? And as my personal commitment, if you throw one and have a good reason and don't get it back, you can buy one for $1. That was my personal commitment. I was about to give them away, but she caught me. I was trying to get around that. Anyway, the money goes to the EFF if you buy another one for $1. So consider yourself, every time you throw a Shmoo ball, you owe $1 to the EFF if you want another one. But it's a fantastic way to get people's attention, because a lot of times when you got this many people in a room, somebody else is thinking the same thing you're thinking, which is, that doesn't make any sense at all. Feel free after you throw the ball to explain yourself, up to and including, I think your shirt's ugly. Whatever you feel like saying to the guy, it's entirely up to you. Build It and Break It, the 2 tracks are back. One thing that we did is we turned the Buffett track into Bring It On. The Buffett track, Birds of a Feather, I think there was an expectation that they would all turn into this kind of communal love-in discussion of what was going to happen with the, every talk would involve the audience and things. And some of the talks were just talks. I mean, nothing against the speakers, just they still were kind of unidirectional. And so rather than try to continue to set the expectations that the BOFs were going to be open events, we just kind of try to encourage everyone to be in a talk where they feel it's open, but we renamed it Bring It On, so we had a little bit broader coverage of topics that we could cover rather than these kind of groups that we were having before. The thing today is really quite an experiment, I think. We were talking about track structure within the group. One of the members said, hey, I was just at this conference. It wasn't a security conference, but it was still kind of technology-oriented. And instead of giving people an hour to get up there on stage and rant, I mean, I've only been up here for, 10 minutes, and you're already sick of hearing me. After an hour, a lot of people have just wholly pulled the ejection handles and are gone. Why not, these guys did it for 20 minutes. And it was just rapid fire, boom, 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 going through all these speakers. So about the time somebody, got fed up with speaking or listening, there would be another speaker on stage to say something. So that's what we're going to do today. That's what One Track Mind is today. And we're very curious on your feedback about that. We have a Bring It On session called Own the Con. We've done this the last 2 years. Something we try to be is as transparent as possible about what goes on here. And I'm going to rant for a minute. Thank you, Simple. I'll predicate that right now. There's a lot of things that go on in the security community that go on for 2 reasons. There's the overt reason and then the covert, and it makes us money, and it furthers my agenda, or whatever. Okay? And that's fine. I mean, that's the way the world works. We have the opportunity here with this conference to be honest brokers of what's happening in the community. right? We have an opportunity to try to get people on stage and keep them honest by getting a bunch of angry attendees to throw crap at them, right? Not many other conferences you can go to and do that. And we try to do the same with our own operations, because we expect that if you're going to trust us to put this on and for us to be honest with you in the community, we need to be transparent about what's transpired within the organization, within the conference. So the Own the Con BOF is all about telling you our finances, our software that we used, all the ups and downs and problems that we had, and for you to provide feedback to us about what you thought worked and what you thought didn't work. Okay? It's very important to us that even if you can't attend that track, if you can at least send your information. We have one person who's responsible for taking lessons learned information every year and aggregating that, and then as a group we go through that to see what we can change for the next year. We take this really seriously because we want to be honest. And to that end, Jason Scott pointed out today, he's like, it may be unprecedented that a security conference sold out before the speaker lineup was announced. That was pretty amazing to us, and it puts a big responsibility on us to not screw up, because you all put money into the system expecting to get your money's worth out of it, and you don't even know what the hell was going to happen. So clearly that's a lot of trust on us, and we want to maintain that. So that's what that Own the Con's about. Affordable. Oh, good Lord. So this was interesting. The last 2 years, we had a model of ticket sales that was basically time delimited, right? Up until a certain date, we'd sell $75 tickets, and up until another date, we'd sell $300 or $150 tickets, and then $300 tickets. From your perspective, it was great because you knew when you had to break out your wallet and actually pay. From our perspective, it sucked because we had no idea what our budget would be until the last ticket sold. And it was really hard to plan the conference around, well, on the low end, we could have this amount of money, and on the high end, we could have this amount. So, we decided to adopt this kind of the Burning Man model, which is you pay what you think it's worth, and we're going to do staged releases of these 3 sets of tickets. And honestly, last year we were about $850 or so. We figured this year we'll try to, when I say $850, that includes volunteers, speakers, vendors, all that kind of stuff, because we have a capacity plan for everybody. So, this year you said, we'll shoot for $1,100, give or take, and so we set up our ticket structure accordingly. And we figured December 1st we would release those tickets, and they might even last all the way to January 1st when we release the next round. Okay? So, the December tickets, they sold, the $75 tickets sold in a few days, $150 sold in a couple weeks, the $300 stuck around a little longer. We're like, wow, that was pretty neat. January 1st, we wake up, and people are like, dude, I've been up all night. I stayed up till midnight PST just to see if you're going to release tickets. And we're like, oh, we were just going to do it sometime. But everybody was interested exactly what time. So we put on the webpage at 10 a.m., we're going to release the tickets at noon. Noon on the 2nd, we turn on the ticket sales. I get up from my table, I go get a cup of coffee, I come back, set the coffee down, and I hit the reload button on this little counter page we have to see how many tickets are left, and already we've sold like 75 tickets. And I call up the guy, Kaz, who has been integral in working the shopping cart and all our web stuff, and I'm like, dude, we got owned. Like, we totally got owned. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, we sold 75 tickets in like 35 seconds. There's no freaking way. He's like, oh my God. And we start digging through the logs. We're like, they were all legitimate. Holy crap. So 6 minutes later, we sold all the $75 tickets. So now we know we're in trouble, right? But for the February sales, we've already told people in advance what we're going to do. So we figured we just got to stick to our guns and do it. And so February 1st came around, and it was, what, 7 minutes, 6 minutes? 8 minutes, whatever. It was an astonishingly short period of time. There were people, how many people in this room tried to buy a $75 ticket and got $150 instead? How many people got a $75 and got a $300 ticket instead? All right, I'm sorry, sir. Thank you, though. We appreciate your love of Shmoocon. So yeah, we totally didn't expect it. And I want to set the record straight within the community. This is probably something we should talk about in the Own the Con BOF, but I want to set it straight in front of everyone. This is not our attempt to do viral marketing. This is not our attempt to, try to get a bunch of people hyped up to come here. This is really, we can only accommodate so many people. We can't run an unrestrained con because we don't have an organization to back us. We're trying to operate on just a cost recovery basis, and we really don't know what's going to happen year over year. So if we pull up short on our dedication to the hotel and everything else, it's money out of our pockets we got to pay. So this is kind of the thing. We delimited it. We came up with a model we thought was going to work, and it turned out that everybody and his uncle wants to come to the conference. So I appreciate all the feedback from the people that have given us feedback about the sales process already, and we encourage more feedback because we're going to rework it a bit for next year. 2% of our tickets ended up on eBay, which I thought was interesting. 25 tickets or so were sold on eBay in the last couple weeks. 400 was about the max, and somebody got in for 80, which I thought was pretty damn skippy. That's some good shopping. The last couple days, though, they ramped back up to about 260, I think. Anyway, I'm staring at the next slide, and like you can't see what's here, so I better hit the space bar. Okay, so we're in this new hotel. We're in new space. For those that have been here before, you recognize we're in new space. A couple things about this space. One, we're not going to have the issues that we had last year when a talk ended and then you walked into Club Shmoocon where you had to like squeak through the hallways to get to the next talk. I mean, it was packed in between talks last year. This year, we're going to have a different problem. The hotel's renovated the space. We think it's very nice. But honestly, these rooms are going to be a little bit crowded as we move forward, just from a number of seats capacity. This is going to be the break-it room. No. This is really cute. There we go. Thank you. It runs away, shame. So first of all, my son was the first one to throw a shmoo ball at you, so boo on all you for not doing it first. Thank you, Bobby. There you go. You're welcome. So polite when he throws stuff at his father. This is going to be the break-it room. 3 and 4 over there, there'll be signs up tomorrow, is going to be the build-it room. And the Bring It On room is basically straight behind the walls, okay? There's if you can see the track here, this is an air wall right here. So starting tomorrow for the 3 tracks, this room is going to be delineated from the rest. It's not going to be open like this. We have all this area here to do everything, you know, to roam around and move around, so it's great. However, the seating could be tight in some of these, so I encourage you, get friendly with people, squeeze up as close as you're willing to get and they're willing to get without a lawsuit. You know, just everybody slide on down. Particularly, I think in the one room, there's no aisles on the side right now, so you may have to really all just kind of ease on down into the aisle. Anyway, we think it, however, it's a great space. We got all the vendor area out front. Hacker Arcade is behind this wall, right around the corner. That'll be starting up tomorrow, and that'll be a good time. I'll get to that in a minute. Man, I didn't think I was going to have half an hour's stuff, but it turns out I'm long in the tooth. Surprised, I know, for those that have heard me talk. Shmoocon Labs, lab attendees, you guys have a good time? Wow, that was, ooh. Maybe not. Are they still in there? Oh, a lot of us are still back there, he says. Little pronoun problem there. Anyway, Shmoocon Labs, anyone go to the old Networld Interop back when it was cool? And they used to build the network on the fly in the week before Networld Interop. The idea was you get a bunch of smart folks and a bunch of people that wanted to learn and a bunch of vendor gear, and you plugged it together and you build a network the size of the Moscone Center, wherever they were, and make it run, which is a really pretty neat idea. And apparently, it got too big of a liability for Networld Interop, and so they relegated it off to this little lab area where you can just go and point and say, there are bits in those wires, but they don't mean anything because no one's using them right now. What we decided to do here was kind of bring that idea back forward. And in years past, the Shmoocon network has been built in my house en masse by a whole bunch of people who don't sleep and they tend not to shower, and I was sick of that. And so we kicked them all out, and we got a whole bunch more people who didn't want to shower, and they came down here and sat down from 9 a.m. yesterday until still going on today to set up the network. And so there were 5 areas. There was like the firewalls and IPS. There was an IDS and something else. There was wireless. What else was there? DNS, routing, LAN, that's more than 5. But there were a lot. It's everything you would need to build a network, including like enterprise management and some visualization stuff that's going to be shown in the NOC. So the NOC is right when you walked in. It was on your left-hand side. It's going to be basically a public area you can walk through. We're still kind of working the logistics of how that's going to work. But we want you to come in there, take a look, ask questions, poke at the technology. You know, there's IPSs, there's all this stuff here, so you can try to poke at it and prod at it on the network and see what you can make happen. It should be kind of interesting. But anyway, I really appreciate the time that everybody put into that in the last day. Hopefully the network is up and functioning now. And I really want to thank Vicki and Steve for stepping up to help with the registration setup this morning. That was fantastic. We really appreciate the work. And I think this is something that, assuming everybody thought it was worthwhile, we'll do it again next year. The goal of the labs wasn't just to get smelly people out of my house, but also, you know, we kind of looked at training and decided that training's really expensive. You know, if you go to like a proper training, and man, is there some good training out there. I mean, some really valuable training that people can go to, but it's $1,000, it's $2,000. And for people who are in school or, you know, your employer's just not going to pony up because you don't have a security job, that's not the kind of stuff you do, hey, maybe it makes more sense to come to something like this where you get some hands-on knowledge. So that was really the goal here, and we hope to be able to provide more of that kind of service in the future. Entertaining. Hacker Halo is going on again. Schmitty is the perfect circus caller for Hacker Halo. He's got a number of signups already. Please go sign up some more, though. Practice will be in tonight in rooms 3 and 4 behind you if you haven't played Halo in a while because you've been too busy playing Gears of War or something else. You've got to go old school, back to Halo, and practice up. You can do that tonight. Hacker Arcade, again, is behind me. There's some fantastic entries this year. In a nutshell, Hacker Arcade is like Chuck E. Cheese, except instead of getting tickets, you get cryptographic tickets loaded on a USB dongle. So when you stick your dongle into a game, depending on how good you do, the game will issue cryptographic tickets that you can then take to registration, plug into a kiosk. The kiosk will tell you how many tickets you have and what prizes you can get. So we have prizes up to and including a DS, a Nintendo DS. There's also a titanium spork. Trust me, it's really cool. It's cooler than it sounds. So the Hacker Arcade, all the proceeds of the Hacker Arcade go to the EFF. We raised like $1,000 and change last year or something like that to the EFF. So it was a good, actually last year was to the Red Cross. I apologize. It was Katrina, so we gave the money to Red Cross. But we'd like to be able to at least meet that this year. So I consider myself one of the best in at least this part of the auditorium in Galaga. So if anyone would like to challenge me in Galaga, I'm more than happy as long as you pay the quarter. Shmooconography, okay, I still can't pronounce it. There's in your program, there's a game. I don't want to say too much about it, but if you look at it, there's at least the first step in a puzzle. And again, there's a prize associated with that, which I think is... We're coming up with a prize for Shmooconography still. Saturday night party at Adams Mills. So Fur, the last 2 years, has been fantastic. We went to the Fur nightclub in Northeast, and we had a party there. Problems with Fur, one, you have to bring clubbing clothes when you go to a HackerCon, which is kind of awkward for many of us, because I'm not sure I own clubbing clothes. Pablos, however, is like the... Pablos, never mind. Can't even count. He's the best dressed person I've ever met in my life, and I mean that with all sincerity. Fur was fantastic. The problem is it really couldn't scale to meet our size. It's also expensive. We threw down a lot of money in a bar tab and it doesn't run very long at a club. So what we did instead this year, instead of making people get in a cab and go all across DC, we're going to be in Adams Mills, which is just down in Adams Morgan. It's the first bar if you walk from here down to Adams Morgan, it's the first bar on the left-hand side. So it's pretty easy to find. Some words about that. It starts at 9. So it starts kind of early. There's a lot of bars in the area, too, so feel free to roam around. What you'll notice in the hotel, if you've been here before, is the hotel's under construction, and the bar area has gotten very small. There's a restaurant-y area, but I don't know that they serve alcohol in there late at night. The pub, Harry's Pub's open until 1 or 1:30, but after that, there's nothing. So if you want to get your drink on, we can't hang out in the hotel lobby like we did last year. I think we're going to have to go find places throughout Adams Morgan to go do it instead. So anyway, Saturday night party. There's also a variety of vendor-sponsored contests and other things, but I don't want to spoil that surprise. I encourage you to go check out our vendor booths and chat with them and see what's going on there. Miscellany. T-shirts. We have T-shirts for sale. Pretty neat designs. A bargain, man. $10 a pop. They're on sale now, so this is about the cheapest hacker tee that you'll find. And we even have some of last year's designs. And I have a bounty on the bottom of my firewall shirts, so if you buy those and then give them to me so I can collect them and get them out of the public domain, I'll pay you for that. So, how much? I really wasn't anticipating anyone trying to take me up on the offer, so we'll have to see. Yeah, I'll pay back in Shmooballs. Yeah, that's fair. If you buy a shirt and you want to turn it in, or if you can do some kind of neat little T-shirt art on it, that'd be cool. DVD sales. So Ted's here again this year, all the way from the wrong coast. He drove all the way from where? L.A. Long Beach. Drove all the way out here with all this gear, and he's filming this again. So Ted gave us a fantastic setup last year. What he did is he filmed everything. And then he sold DVDs here, and he takes the DVDs and he sells them around to other conferences as well. But then he gives us the ability to take all the talks and put them on our website for free download later. Okay, so I don't know how many people have downloaded stuff off the Shmoocon.org website. It's fantastic. You know, any talk from last year, you can go and download for free off our website and check it out. Deviant's lockpicking talk is fantastic. Like, I've had parties where I brought people and I showed them Deviant picking locks, and I gave them some lockpick kits, and then we sat around picking locks all night. It's fantastic. It's a great party trick, I swear to God. So anyway, the one thing that I think that was confusing last year is people saw DVDs, like, ooh, DVDs, and they started picking them up. They're not free. You know, Ted came out here, he's trying to make money off of this, so please support him. We really appreciate the work that he's been doing. So if you see a talk you really want to see again, please buy it from Ted. He's burning the DVDs on the fly right here, and he'll have them for sale. So, yay! There we go, first round of applause. Thank you, Ted. Our keynote tonight will be Dr. Avi Rubin. We kind of inverted the normal logic. Normally you kick off with a keynote, and I guess I'm the closest thing you got to that, but how disappointing is that? Avi Rubin will be here at 7. He's got a brand new shiny talk that he'll be giving. It should be fantastic. I'm very excited to have him here. So please make sure you're here at 7 o'clock. I think he'll have some really interesting things to say. Parking vouchers, slightly different topic. Parking vouchers for those that stay here in the hotel and you use the Shmoo code to register your hotel room, you automatically get discounted parking. You need to do nothing. It'll automatically be the discounted rate, which I think is $15 a day or something. Yeah, it's DC, people, come on. If you didn't stay here and you need a parking voucher, you can go to registration and they'll give you one so you can get out for $15 as opposed to whatever the main rate is. So we won't give them out to everyone, but if you need one, just come see us and we're happy to give you one. And then I think there's a marathon tomorrow in DC, or Sunday. When is it? Tomorrow. And I was driving down Connecticut and saw this ginormous sign that said, "Warning, marathon." I'm like, oh no. So I encourage you to, anyone know what time it starts? 7 a.m.? 6 a.m. Yeah, so either get really drunk and pass out in the hotel, or come in really late tomorrow. So it's your choice to figure that out. All right, so I only have a few minutes to ponder. So this is where I'm ranting, and Hikari, wherever you are, I encourage you to come up and start setting up and doing your thing. So last year, you know, I've been talking for the last year about basically we've been solving the same problem in InfoSec and security for the last 40 years. You know, you can read the papers from 40 years ago, and it's the same problem. The scale is bigger, mind you, but we haven't made these huge quantum leaps in security like we thought we were going to do. And rather than bore you with that nugget of information, because that's all it was, is a nugget. Like, that's all the research I did was about yay much. This year I want to toss another one out, just so you have something to think about as you're sitting here, potentially being entertained by Hikari or just kind of dozing off, depending. You know, who cares about security? And, you know, I'm a consultant in real life. It's what I do. I don't just get to throw this conference and then sit in my butt. And you're oftentimes, I know a lot of you are consultants, professional services, and you have to sell security, right? You have to get people to believe you need to care about this. And man, as security professionals, like, we like to care about this. We care about this enough that we come to a conference that starts of all times at 3 o'clock on a Friday and are going to stick around all weekend rather than do what normal people do on a weekend, which is decidedly not come to a hacker convention. So, you know, we care about it. Well, the question is, who else actually cares about security? And since this is my first time with Keynote, this is supposed to animate in, but I couldn't actually get it to animate in, which is really sad for a Mac. Like, I thought if I just thought about it really hard, it would just be like, oh, he wants it to animate. No, no joy. So the general public? No. No, no, no. The general public does not care whatsoever about security. Sony put rootkits on CDs, right? And everyone Slashdot was aghast. You know, all the 17-year-old boys that run Debian all freaked out. And did it matter? Like, I challenge you to go to a record store and look for anyone picking up the labels and seeing if it's got a Sony sticker on the back. Oh, it's a Sony album. I can't buy that. There's like 4 people in the country who care anymore. No one else cares. Okay? We have this incredible inflated sense of self-worth that security is so important that consumers will speak with their dollars. Well, they do. They buy what's useful and entertaining and whatever. They don't care if it's insecure, right? There was so I also a game a little bit on the side, and I was reading this one gaming log, and Epic Games had done something stupid and sent a cease and desist to some guy who had like made an epic cake or some nonsense and like used some character of theirs in the cake and had pictures of it. And they were like, please stop using people's likenesses, blah, 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 blah. And all these gamers got all pissed off, like, oh, I'm not going to buy Epic Games anymore. This is going to have such horrible ramifications for them. I'm like, nobody outside the 6 of you care, you know? Absolutely not. The vast majority of the population that buys computer games doesn't care who wrote them, where they wrote them, what their lawyers are like. They don't care. They're just going to buy them anyway. Same with computer products. Same with all the IT stuff we buy. They're going to buy it if it makes their life better. Okay? Same thing with the iPod and DRM. I hate DRM. You know what? Most of the planet still owns an iPod. Sorry. Government agencies, do they care about security? Kind of. They care about security as a checklist element because someone else told them to care about security. Right? FSMA and other things mandated, thou shalt care about security enough to put a big check mark in this box. Fantastic. I'm going to care exactly that much and no more. Okay? CXOs, they have the same problem, right? They care about it because it's a tax on the organization that's been put on them by Sarbanes-Oxley and GLB and all these other acronyms and things. Most of them don't care for personal reasons. They care for business reasons. They have to care enough to jump over the bar that the government says they have to jump over. And sometimes their consumer has a higher bar. Very, very, very rarely. I'm sure a number of us in this room have been involved in companies, startups, and otherwise that try to use security as a distinction, as a delimiter between your product and your competitor's product. It's a really hard sell to say, oh, but our product's more secure. Well, his does gigabit line speed, and yours only does 100 megabit line speed. Well, but ours is secure. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Well, except for us. Hey, we're all here. It's a thankless job or a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know. The deal is we can't get really wrapped up in trying to do security for security's sake. You know, defense in depth, in my opinion, has reached its end. We have layered on as many layers of defense in depth as humanly possible. Okay? You cannot put more on without either not making any difference or just making the system so unstable it doesn't work. Okay? And this is obviously a broad generality, and I say this, and not a single shmoo gets thrown at me when I say something as wild and crazy as that. Oh. That was a cue for somebody. There we go. Thank you, Render. There we go. RenderMan. RenderMan will be the one to win all the first contests, by the way. So, catch like a girl. Toby says caring about security is misguided. So you're just here for the booze and the chicks? No, not so much. Yeah. Hey, our rock stars here. Keith's going to be spending Saturday night. So there's DJ Keith back there. He looks like the rock star. There you go. And he's really not, but he pretends to be. We'll get one. So anyway, so that's my 2 cents. I don't have a solution. I don't have anything. I just, you know, random concept. You know, you need to be thinking about who your audience is, what you're trying to accomplish, and more than anything, what I really want to see, I still want to see this, is big leaps made forward in the security technologies that we use today. You know, I want to see companies doing things right from the beginning, and sometimes that's going to mean we have to provide them technologies to do things right in ways that they don't even know is doing it right. You know, secure compilers and all these other things that basically don't allow developers and architects to shoot themselves in the foot in the first place. So, you know, we have to have secure components to build wireless systems out of, all this kind of crap. That's what we need to focus on, not the latest whiz-bang configuration, not the latest whiz-bang, you know, registry tweak or whatever. So anyway, with that, that was horrible. That was my 2 seconds of crappy soapboxing. And now, so one-track mind's going to begin. Hikari's going to be the first one up. What kind of, here, I'll let you sort out the adapter bits. Here's the ground rules. It's going to go on from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, okay? So we're going to be about 20 minutes a speaker with about 10 minutes of questioning. And I encourage you to question, think about it, try to make this as interactive as you can. You know, we're going to have, rewind. I forgot one very important thing. Wow. So Sunday, when we're done, we're going to have a closing ceremonies thing. We'll keep it shorter than last year. Note, you don't have the little raffle tickets, so you don't have to stick around as we crank the random number generator trying to find a raffle winner. We are going to have a plenary session where we're going to get back together here as one big group and have one kind of panel talk thing on one laptop per child and the security ramifications and social ramifications associated with one laptop per child. It should be fantastically interesting. Ivan Kristic, who, is Ivan here yet? No, I don't think so. Ivan is the guy kind of responsible for the security mechanisms within one laptop per child. It's called Bitfrost, and it's a capabilities-based security model integrated into Linux. For your CS heads out there, that's pretty cool. And for your non-CS heads out there, it's pretty cool. Trust me, you should show up and check out this talk. So there's Sean Coyne, Scott Roberts, and Oh, good Lord. That guy, Jason Scott. Yeah, oh no, says someone. Oh no's. Jason Scott will be joining them, and they're going to have a big panel talk. So what's going to happen Sunday is we're going to have a talk finish at 1. And for half an hour, we're going to ask you all to get the heck out of here because we're going to have to open this air wall back and reconstitute this as one big room and then come back in for that closing keynote session. Okay? So that'll make sense? Sorry, I forgot to include that. Anyway, so the ground rules for this is Hikari's got 20 minutes. He better be on target. And then I'm going to come up and start hauling him off a stage. And while I'm hauling him off, the next speaker should come up. Okay? So the next speaker, your cue to get on stage is after I've been up here and ridiculing him for a minute or two, that's your time to come on up. So we're just going to keep that rotation up. Avi shows up at 7. We're going to do the keynote, and we can all go out and eat and drink and be merry. So